work like this? All right. How you guys, can you hear me now? We good? All right. Hey, well, my name's Tyler Golson. I'm on staff at Calvary Chapel, and Emily and William asked me just briefly share. And so I do youth ministry, and I just want to encourage you guys. I think one of the things that happens in our culture is that at any point when you start to actually stand for something, anytime our culture disagrees, they're very quick to want to just undercut the entire movement. And so what you're doing matters, and it's significant. So I just have 4 brief encouragements that I want to offer you guys as students in particular, because the majority of this is student. It's all student organized, it's student led. And I just think that's incredible. So I just want to specifically kind of gear towards you guys that are in high school or college or getting ready to go to college. I just want to encourage you guys. So 4 encouragements. The first one's this: you matter. You matter. It's undeniable that you matter. And that's one of the first things that our culture is continuing to try to communicate, is that you don't matter. And so whether it's comparison on social media, or because you look a certain way, or because you stand for a certain set of ideals, our culture wants you to believe that you don't matter. But I'm just here to tell you that you do. Psalm 139 is a passage that's often quoted, and it's one that says that where David says, "You planned every single one of my days before one of them began. I'm wonderfully and fearfully made." God's the one who made you. He's the one that knit you together in your mother's womb. And he attached a story to the entirety of your life. And so if God of heaven does that, then you can easily conclude that your life matters. Amen? Yeah, and so not only does your life matter, but obviously what you're advocating for is that the lives inside a womb matter as well. So you matter. And if there's anybody here, especially a student, you're struggling with that idea, and you're even having potentially thoughts of suicide, man, find somebody after. Find me. Find one of these adults. You matter. God's plan for you is not to take your life early, and so I just felt led to share that. So if that happens to be where you're at, God's got a plan for your story. So the second encouragement is this: you matter, and your voice matters. Your voice matters. God told Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 1, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna call you to speak on my behalf." And if you go read Jeremiah 1, Jeremiah goes, "Lord, I am not the guy. I am not the person. People are gonna look at me and they're gonna say, you're a youth. You're a little kid." That's what they're gonna say to me. And God was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm gonna put the words in your mouth, and you're gonna speak on my behalf." And so if that criticism even shows up at any point where an adult looks on and goes, "You're just a kid, you don't even know what you're doing," you can just look at them and go, "Nah, actually, God's called me, and he's got a plan for my life, and part of my plan is advocating for people that will not be advocated for, that can't advocate for themselves, that are defenseless." And so your voice matters. And here's the deal. Not only is it true from a biblical perspective, but our culture actually proves that your voice matters. So like if you look at organizations or businesses, they develop their entire marketing schemes to reach you, to reach high school students and college students, because they know that if they can get college and high school age people to buy into their product and say that it's cool, they will have a successful product. Why is that? It's because high school students and college students literally shape the culture. They're the ones that place a stamp of confirmation and affirmation on anything that takes off. So why is Instagram successful? Why is Snapchat successful? Why is TikTok successful? It's because people like you have said it's awesome, and so it's taken off. So your voice has weight. What's funny though is whenever you step out of the mainstream ideological format and you actually take a little bit of a resistant path, what the culture wants you to believe is that your voice doesn't matter. And that's not true, because regardless of what you're standing for, I'm telling you that your voice carries weight and it carries authority. And so there's actually evidence of this. Emily and William, sort of the spearheads of this event, once it got out that they were going to have this event, Planned Parenthood has been contacting them specifically on the phone, saying we want to shut your event down completely. Now let me ask y'all a question. Y'all are smart people. If your voice doesn't matter and your voice doesn't carry weight or authority, why would they be concerned about you having an event? Because they even though they oppose you, they know that there is weight attached to your voice. You guys are you're literally reshapers of culture. You have that ability, and so your voice matters. The third thing is, when you take a stand for something, you vacillate back and forth sometimes, right? You go like, man, I think what I'm standing for is right, but there's days where I kind of go, is what I'm standing for right? And so I just want to encourage you on that. Listen, you are right on this issue. It is not even up for debate. You're right, and I'm going to prove it to you in just 2 brief examples. Number 1, science stands with you, right? Science stands with you. Logic stands with you. If you think about the abolition movement in the 1800s, all through our history, there are moments where people stood on the right side and people stood on the wrong side. Okay? When we look back at the 1800s, nobody's wondering who was right and wrong when it came to the issue of slavery. But it's interesting, the people that were advocating for slavery, the people that wanted slavery to continue, their first piece of their argument was, well, these people, because their skin is black, they're not human. They're subhuman. Scientifically, they're not human, therefore we can own them. And then science kind of slapped that idea in the face, right? Because it was like, no, they're African Americans, they have more melanin in their skin, but that's it. They're human beings. And look at what the pro-slavery movement did. They shifted their argument from a scientific one, and they said, well, it's a states' rights issue. What does that sound like? It's a choice issue, right? And so here we are, fast forward, we're dealing with a human rights issue. And the people that oppose us have they got the same common denominators on their side. First, they claimed Roe v. Wade was based on a scientific issue. And science slapped that in the face. That's why hopefully we're going to see it overturned this year. And so science destroyed it. Yeah, amen, right? Science destroyed it. Science and technology advanced, and it said what? That is without a doubt a baby, not a clump of cells. That is a baby all day long. And then they can't claim women's rights or women's health and choice because you can't do that while you're eliminating the life of women in the womb and removing the choice of people in the womb. It's a counterintuitive argument. You can't have both. So science stands with you, logic stands with you, but above all of those things, far above those things, God and His Word stands with you. It stands with you. God says, I'm for the defenseless and I want to defend them. Those who are oppressed, I want to stand with them and I want to eliminate the people and remove the oppressor. I do not want people to be oppressed, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're right. You're right. And then the fourth encouragement and the last one is this. Your motivation is beautiful. Your motivation is beautiful. There's not going to be any bonus checks handed out to the Students for Life attendees because Roe v. Wade gets overturned. That's not going to happen. Nobody's getting free burgers for being here. Nobody's getting paid. There's not going to be a bonus if indeed the law gets changed over for all of the people that showed up to an event. In fact, this most of the time only costs people. You know who else paid a cost was the abolitionists. The abolitionists lost friends, they lost family members, they lost businesses, they experienced persecution because they stuck their foot in the ground and they said, I'm going to stand next to my African American brother because they are humans, they are sons and daughters, they are image bearers, and they have rights, and I'm going to stand with them. And you're doing the exact same thing, and this is what's awesome about this. Your motivation is beautiful because it's pure. There's nothing that's compromising your decision to be here. You just chose to be here because you believe that life matters. Except, when in contrast to Planned Parenthood, they actually win. They fiscally are beneficiaries for the continuation of abortion. And so, y'all, at best, their motivation is compromised. At worst, it's evil. But at best, it's compromised. So you matter. Your voice matters. You're right. You are right. Just be encouraged. You are standing on the right side of history, and you. Sorry, the last one that I just said. Your motivation is beautiful. There we go. Your motivation is beautiful. This will be my encouragement as you go. Go with grace. Go with grace. You're not going to win any. You can be right 1,000 times over, but if you don't love people well with peace and with mercy and with grace, you will not win anyone, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to win people over. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for being here. You're doing an incredible job. Do not stop. God bless you guys. Yep.